It really strikes me, even with all our tech, Earth just has these incredible hidden spots. Earth's unseen wonders
Yeah.
makes you feel kind of small.
Absolutely. It's humbling. You think about the sheer age and, well, the power involved in creating these places, forces way beyond our everyday scale.
Exactly. It's like looking behind the curtain, seeing landscapes shaped by ancient winds, massive geological shifts, stuff older than time itself almost.
It really puts things into perspective. These aren't just pretty pictures. They're chapters in the planet's history, an awakening, like you said.
Yeah. And get this, I read that some coral reefs are over 5,000 years old. 5,000.
Wow. See? Even underwater, it just speaks to that deep history, that constant change and persistence.
Right. So that's our mission for this deep dive, isn't it? To explore some of these truly breathtaking, kind of mysterious natural wonders. We've got some fascinating material here.
Looking forward to it. It's about understanding how they came to be, what they tell us.
Okay, so let's dive right in. Quite literally, maybe. The Great Blue Hole, off Belize.
Ah, yes, the blue hole. What's really key there is how it connects to the last ice age. Sea levels were way, way lower back then.
Hundreds of feet lower.
Exactly. So this massive, perfectly wound hole we see now, it was actually a huge limestone cave system, exposed, dry land.
A giant cave open to the air. That's incredible.
It is. Then the planet warms up, ice melts, oceans rise.
And the whole thing just flooded and collapsed.
That's the idea. The roof gives way, leaving this, well, underwater sinkhole. Over 1,000 feet across, and more than 400 feet deep. That circular shape hints at how the limestone dissolved.
So the rainwater, slightly acidic, carved out these huge chambers underground.
Precisely. And eventually the weight above just became too much. Boom, a window into a lost landscape.
And the stalactites they find inside, those are like leftovers from the dry period.
Exactly, frozen in time, really. They tell scientists about old water tables, even past climate stuff, and the marine life that lives there now. Totally adapted to that deep, dark environment. Just shows you how things change.
Amazing. Okay, from underwater caves to, well, something completely different. Victoria Falls, Zambia, Zimbabwe. The smoke that thunders sounds intense.
Oh, it is. Mosi-oa-Tunya. The name fits perfectly. It's the Zambezi River just launching itself over this massive basalt cliff.
Over a mile wide.
A mile wide.
Yeah. And the scale of time here, this fracture in the crust happened over 2 million years ago. Geological shifts.
2 million years. And the whole river just pours into this narrow gorge. How deep?
Over 350 feet down, it's described as a living landscape, which feels right. You've got the constant mist feeding rainforest right there on the edge, the ancient rock.
And the water's still carving it, right? The basalt is tough, but that much water.
Exactly. It's this ongoing battle. Basalt is hard volcanic rock, so it erodes slowly, but the sheer volume, peak flow, is over 500 million cubic meters a minute.
500 million per minute.
Yeah, you can supposedly hear it from like 25 miles away.
Wow. Just raw power.
It really puts the energy in the Earth's water cycle into perspective. Okay, shifting gears completely. The Sahara Desert, North Africa, huge, like the size of the US basically.
Pretty much over 3 million square miles. And the really mind-bending thing, go back about 7,000 years?
Not that long ago, geologically speaking.
Right. It was green, lush savanna, lakes, animals, people living there.
So what happened? How does that flip so dramatically?
It comes down to subtle shifts in Earth's orbit. These Milankovitch cycles, they change climate patterns over long periods.
And that triggered this massive drying out, turned it into the world's biggest hot desert.
Essentially, yes. It shows how connected everything is, Orbital mechanics affecting rainfall over continents.
And the landscape now, those huge dunes, rocky bits, salt flats, even volcanoes, that's all the result of that shit.
It tells that story, yeah. Wind shaping the sand, erosion stripping back rock, lakes evaporating, leaving salt, and the temperature swings. Baking hot days, freezing nights. Really harsh.
But life still finds a way, doesn't it? The source mentions hidden water sources, fossils.
Exactly. Those aquifers are remnants of the greener past.
Yeah.
And you've got nomadic cultures who know how to survive there. Desert foxes, date palms. Life adapts.
So the Sahara is kind of like a history book written in sand and rock.
A powerful one, yes. Showing climate change and resilience.
Okay, another waterfall system, but different feel maybe. Iguazu Falls, Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay border. subtropical rainforest setting.
Yeah, Iguazu is incredible. It's not one single trop like Angel Falls. It's this huge complex formed way back, maybe 200 million years ago. Volcanic activity laid down the basalt rock.
Like Victoria Falls.
Similar rock type, yeah. Then tectonic plates shifted, cracked the landscape, and the river found its way. We're talking nearly 2 miles wide.
2 miles.
With over 207 separate waterfalls or cascades, it's immense.
In the Devil's Throat. That sounds dramatic.
It is. Garganta del Diablo. It's this massive U-shaped chasm where a huge amount of the water plunges down, maybe 250 feet or so. The noise, the spray, it's overwhelming.
And surrounded by rainforest. Must be teeming with life.
Oh, absolutely. Toucans, jaguars hiding out, giant trees. The constant moisture supports this incredibly rich ecosystem right at the fall's edge. And yeah, like Victoria, you hear it long before you see it.
Just another level of water power. Amazing. Okay, let's head to Tanzania. The Serengeti. Feels like stepping back in time.
It kind of is. It's one of the oldest ecosystems, really. Millions of years ago, volcanoes were active nearby.
And that volcanic ash enriched the soil.
Exactly. Which is why you get those vast, nutrient-rich grasslands, the classic Serengeti plains, dotted with those rocky outcrops, the kopjes and acacia trees. It's looked like this for thousands of years, pretty stable.
And that stability, those grasslands, that's what allows for that incredible migration, right? The wildebeest and zebras.
Yes, the largest land mammal migration on Earth. Over 1 million wildebeest, hundreds of thousands of zebras, gazelles, all following the rains in the fresh grass. It's this ancient cycle driven by the landscape itself.
The geology underpinning the biology.
Perfectly put. The mild climate, the open terrain, those kopjes offering vantage points, it all works together to create this iconic scene.
Okay, from African plains to Asian desert, the Gobi, China and Mongolia, but different from the Sahara, you said.
Very different, yeah. Less about endless sand dunes, though there are some. The Gobi is more about vast stretches of bare rock, gravel plains, windswept plateaus.
So shaped differently.
Right, millennia of tectonic uplift, raising the land, then erosion by wind, and, well, what little water there is.
And it has its own deep history, too. Prehistoric sea, Silk Road.
Absolutely. Sediments from that ancient sea, then a major route for trade and culture, layers upon layers.
And dinosaurs. The Flaming Cliffs.
Huge paleontological site, especially in Mongolia. The first confirmed dinosaur eggs were found there. Gives us incredible clues about life millions of years ago. And like the Sahara, really extreme temperatures, boiling hot summers, bitterly cold winters, ancient and harsh.
Okay, now for something, a bit more recent and fiery. The door to hell in Turkmenistan. That wasn't exactly natural, was it?
No, not in its origin. The Darvaza gas crater. It's kind of an industrial accident turned spectacle. Soviet geologists were drilling for natural gas back in the early 70s.
And they hit a pocket and the ground collapsed.
That's the story. Created this big crater, maybe 200 feet across, full of leaking methane. To prevent the gas spreading, they decided to, well, light it.
Thinking it would burn off in a few days.
Apparently. But here we are over 50 years later, and it's still burning like crazy, nearly 70 feet deep now.
Wow, so it's this constant inferno in the middle of the Karakum Desert. Must be a surreal sight.
Totally surreal. Just this roaring fire pit in the middle of silent dunes. A stark reminder, I guess, of messing with underground resources.
A human-made geological feature in a way, okay? From extreme heat to extreme cold. Antarctica. The bottom of the world.
An entire continent of ice, basically, nearly twice the size of Australia, and it holds something like 90% of the world's fresh water, all locked up in that ice sheet.
Which started forming when?
Around 34 million years ago, global cooling kicked in.
But underneath all that ice, there's actual land, right? Mountains, even volcanoes.
Oh yeah, a whole hidden landscape. Mountain ranges maybe as big as the Alps, dormant volcanoes. We're still discovering it all through radar and stuff.
And life still hangs on. Even with temperatures dropping below minus 100 Fahrenheit.
It's incredible. Penguins obviously adapted to the coasts, but also hardy mosses, lichens on any exposed rock. It feels alien, untouched in many ways, a glimpse of an ice world.
Okay, let's bring some color back. Caño Cristales in Colombia, the liquid rainbow. This sounds spectacular.
It really is unique, a river that, for part of the year, just explodes with color. Red, yellow, green, blue, black. It flows for over 60 miles.
And the color comes from a plant.
Yeah, a specific aquatic plant, Macarinia clavigera. It only shows these bright colors, especially the red, under very specific conditions, clear water, the right amount of sunlight, usually peaks between June and November.
So it's like a living painting.
Kind of. And the river itself flows over really ancient quartzite rock, part of the Guiana Shield, like 1.2 billion years old. You get rapids, little waterfalls, strange circular potholes called giant's kettles carved by the water.
And it's in a really biodiverse spot.
Right at a meeting point of the Andes, the Amazon, and the Orinoco regions. So yeah, loads of birds, amphibians, reptiles. It's a real hot spot.
Sounds like a hidden treasure.
Yeah.
Now, Mexico again. Tolantongo. Those hot spring pools on the cliffside look amazing.
Tolantongo is pretty special. It's this box canyon where geothermal heat, from volcanic activity deep down, warms up underground rivers.
And the water flows out into these turquoise pools.
Yeah, clinging to the canyon walls. The water's full of minerals, and it stays at a nice warm temperature, around 97 degrees Fahrenheit, like a natural jacuzzi complex built by nature.
And the rock formations,
Mhm.
caves, waterfalls.
The mineral-rich water flowing over the limestone for thousands of years has carved out all these features. Caves, tunnels, little cascades. It's really picturesque, with the cliffs and lush plants all around. A mix of natural wonder and some local development to make it accessible.
From warm water to blinding white salt. Salar de Uyuni in Bolivia, the world's biggest salt flat.
It's vast, over 4,000 square miles, high up on the Altiplano. Basically, it's what's left of huge prehistoric lakes that just evaporated over thousands of years.
Leaving this incredibly flat, white expanse.
Exactly, shimmering white. And when it rains, even a thin layer of water turns it into this perfect mirror reflecting the sky. The photos you see are just unreal.
Like walking on the sky.
Pretty much. And beneath that salt crust, huge deposits of lithium, a really valuable resource. So it's this stark, high-altitude landscape over 11,000 feet surrounded by volcanoes, even little islands that are actually ancient coral reefs poking through.
Amazing. Water, salt, geology, resources, all in one place. Okay. Let's jump to Europe. Croatia, Plitvice Lakes National Park. Waterfalls again, but different.
Very different. Plitvice is all about travertine deposition. Basically, limestone dissolving in the water and then redepositing, building up these natural dams over thousands of years.
And that created the lakes.
16 terraced lakes, yeah, each one spilling into the next through a series of waterfalls. It's all set in this really lush forest.
And the watercolor changes. Turquoise, emerald.
Yeah, depending on the minerals, the algae, the sunlight. It
Yeah.
can shift through blues and greens and grays. It's a UNESCO site, really stunning. Karst landscapes, you get caves too. And rare wildlife like lynx and bears.
Sounds magical. Okay, staying in that part of the world, sort of. Turkey, Cappadocia, fairy chimneys, underground cities. This sounds wild.
Cappadocia is definitely otherworldly. Millions of years ago, massive volcanic eruptions covered the area in thick ash.
And that ad hardened into rock.
Into a soft rock called tuff, yeah. Then wind and water got to work eroding it into these incredible shapes, the famous fairy chimneys, cone-like towers, deep valleys. It looks almost lunar.
And people carved homes right into this soft rock.
They did. And churches, monasteries. But even more amazing are the vast underground cities carved beneath the surface. Some go down multiple levels. Early Christians used them for refuge.
So it's this incredible mix of natural sculpture and human history carved right into the land.
Exactly. The unique geology, the climate, the history. It's a singular place. And seeing the hot air balloons floating over it at sunrise, unforgettable.
Definitely on the bucket list. Okay, back across the pond. Venezuela, Angel Falls, world's tallest uninterrupted drop.
Just shy of a kilometer straight down.
Yeah.
Over 3,200 feet. It spills off the top of Ayantapui, one of those huge tabletop mountains.
We have ancient sandstone.
Incredibly ancient. Part of the Guiana Shield, again, maybe 2 billion years old, some of the oldest rock on the surface of the Earth.
And named after that pilot, Jimmy Angel, who crash landed up there.
That's the story, yeah. Brought it to wider attention in the 1930s. It's so remote, deep in the jungle, often shrouded in mist. Feels like something out of a lost world.
Water falling from the sky almost. Incredible. Now, a volcano story, but a really unusual one. Paricutin in Mexico. It grew out of a cornfield.
Yeah, this one is amazing because it happened so recently, and people saw it start. 1943. A farmer, Dionisio Pulido, noticed a crack opening in his field.
Just opened up.
Yep, started spewing ash and smoke. Within a week, the cone was over 500 feet tall. It kept erupting for about 9 years.
Wow, so it's one of the few volcanoes humans have witnessed from birth to dormancy.
Exactly. It eventually reached nearly 1,400 feet. It's in the Trans-Mexican Volcanic Belt, so it's an active region. Today, you see the cone, the lava fields, and the top of a church steeple sticking out of the hardened lava.
A buried church. Chilling.
A powerful reminder of how dynamic the Earth can be even on human timescales.
Okay, from rapid birth to ancient grandeur, the cliffs of Moher, Ireland. So iconic.
Absolutely. Rising straight out of the Atlantic on the west coast of County Clare, about 9 miles long, reaching up over 700 feet in places.
And they're old rocks.
Very. Formed around 320 million years ago during the Carboniferous period. Layers of shale and sandstone, basically ancient seabed sediments that got pushed up.
And now they face the full force of the Atlantic. Must be dramatic.
Incredibly dramatic, constant wind, crashing waves, and they're a haven for seabirds, puffins, razorbills, falcons. Beautiful views, too, out to the Aran Islands on a clear day. They're just quintessentially Irish.
Yeah, you could picture them. Now, deep into Australia, Uluru, that giant red rock.
Ayers Rock, as it was also known. It's immense, a sandstone monolith rising over 1,100 feet from the flat desert floor.
And incredibly old.
Estimated over 500 million years old. Like the cliffs of Moher, it started as sediments, this time in an ancient inland sea, then got tilted and uplifted. The red color, that's iron oxidation, basically rusting.
And it's deeply sacred to the Nangu people.
Absolutely central to their culture and beliefs, the Jakurpa, or Dreamtime. Formed by ancestral beings. It's not just a rock, it's a living cultural landscape. And it supports life too. Plants, animals, even waterfalls after rain.
A powerful place. Okay, heading back toward Africa. Namibia, Sossusvlei, those huge red dunes.
Sossusvlei is in the Namib Desert, which might be the oldest desert in the world. And yes, those dunes are unbelievable. Some of the tallest anywhere, nearly 1,300 feet.
Sculpted by wind over millions of years.
Exactly. It's a salt and clay pan. Sossusvlei means dead-end marsh, surrounded by these towering, brilliant red dunes. The color comes from oxidized iron, just like Uluru, and it changes dramatically with the light throughout the day.
Sounds like a photographer's dream.
Totally. It's incredibly dry, but sometimes, very rarely, enough rain falls to flood the pan, creating these stunning reflections of the dunes. Stark, beautiful, ancient.
Okay, USA again. Arizona, Antelope Canyon, those swirling sandstone shapes.
A classic slot canyon, maybe the most famous one.
Yeah.
Carved into the Navajo sandstone on Navajo land.
By flash floods.
Primarily, yeah. Over millions of years, sudden rushes of water carrying sand and debris just scoured these narrow passages. Wind erosion helps too, smoothing the curves.
And the light beams.
That's the magic. When the sun is high, beams of light shine down through the openings, illuminating the dust in the air and making the orange and red rock just glow. It's divided into upper and lower sections, both incredible. Feels like walking through sculpture.
Nature as an artist, amazing. Now for somewhere truly extreme, the Danakil Depression in Ethiopia. Hottest, driest, lowest. Sounds intense.
It is all of those things, over 400 feet below sea level, and it's where 3 tectonic plates are actively pulling apart.
So lots of geological activity.
Intense activity. Volcanoes, lava lakes like Erta Ale, vast salt flats, and these absolutely bizarre, colorful hydrothermal fields with acid springs bubbling away. Looks like another planet.
Yellows, greens.
Sure.
Almost unnatural colors.
Totally unnatural looking, but it's all mineral deposits, and temperatures often go above 120 Fahrenheit. It's brutal.
Can anything live there?
Remarkably, yes. The AFAR people have adapted over centuries, and scientists are really interested in the extremophile microbes living in those hot, acidic, salty pools. Tells us about the limits of life.
Wow. Okay, another desert, but different again. Wadi Rum in Jordan. Valley of the Moon.
That name fits perfectly. It's this stunning desert valley in southern Jordan near the Saudi border. Huge sandstone and granite cliffs rising dramatically out of the sandy floor.
Carved by wind and time.
An uplift. The rock formations got pushed up by tectonic forces millions of years ago, and then erosion went to work. Some cliffs are over 2,000 feet high. It was underwater once. Now, super arid, big temperature swings.
Used for Mars movie scenes.
Frequently, it really does look otherworldly. And it's a sacred space for the Bedouin people who live there. Rich in history, stunning landscapes.
Okay, now for something really weird looking.
Yeah.
Singi de Bemaraha in Madagascar.
Yeah.
That limestone forest of sharp rocks.
Singi, it's like walking on needles, apparently. It's a plateau of limestone that was uplifted. Rainwater, which is slightly acidic, has dissolved the rock over millions of years. But it's done it unevenly, leaving these incredibly sharp vertical pinnacles and deep fissures.
Like a maze made of stone razors.
Pretty much. Some pinnacles are hundreds of feet tall. It's almost impenetrable in places. The local name apparently means where one cannot walk barefoot. Makes sense.
And unique wildlife lives in there.
Yeah, lots of endemic species adapted to navigate this bizarre landscape. It's a UNESCO site, truly one of a kind, shows what water erosion can do to limestone over vast time.
Incredible. Okay, Chile now. The marble caves,
Yes.
carved by lake water.
Yes, along the shore of Lake General Carrera in Patagonia. This isn't limestone, it's actual marble calcium carbonate. Over the last 6,000 years or so, the waves of this huge glacial lake have sculpted these incredible caves and tunnels right into the marble cliffs.
And the color, swirling blue and white.
Exactly. The patterns in the marble itself are beautiful, and then the glacial water of the lake, which is often this intense turquoise blue, reflects up onto the white and blue marble walls. It creates this amazing glowing effect inside the caves.
Sounds magical, and you have to get there by boat.
Yeah, that's the only way. And the appearance changes with the water level and the time of year. Very remote, very beautiful. Water shaping hard rock again.
Now the Philippines. El Nido, Palawan, the Big Lagoon.
Right.
Karst landscape again.
Another stunning example, yes. Towering limestone cliffs, typical of karst regions surrounding this beautiful turquoise lagoon. Like other karst areas, it formed from ancient coral reefs uplifted and then eroded by water over millions of years.
So you kayak or take a small boat in.
Right, through this narrow entrance, and it opens up into this incredible space like a natural cathedral made of rock. Crystal clear water, you can see coral gardens below, sometimes little hidden beaches or chambers in the cliffs. Just gorgeous.
Sounds like paradise. Okay, Indonesia. Komodo Island. Famous for the dragons, but the island itself.
It's a volcanic island, part of the Lesser Sunda chain, formed by tectonic activity millions of years ago. The landscape is pretty rugged volcanic hills, dry savanna, not dense jungle everywhere.
But rich marine life around it.
Oh yeah, it's part of Komodo National Park, which protects the dragons, obviously, but also the incredible coral reefs and marine life, manta rays, turtles, sharks. And it even has some famous pink sand beaches from crushed red coral mixing with the white sand.
So dramatic geology, unique giant lizards, and vibrant reefs. Quite a package.
Definitely a unique spot where evolution and geology meet.
Back to Europe.
Yeah.
France. The Verdun Gorge. The Grand Canyon of Europe.
It gets called that, yeah. It's seriously impressive. Deep canyon carved by the Verdun River through limestone plateaus in Provence, nearly 15 miles long and in places over 2,000 feet deep.
And the water is that amazing turquoise color.
It really is. Comes from glacial meltwater carrying fine rock particles, minerals that reflect the light that way. The towering cliffs, the lush vegetation clinging on. It's a huge draw for climbers, hikers, kayakers. Really dramatic scenery.
River power carving limestone again. Amazing. Okay, high altitude now. Lake Titicaca, Bolivian and Peru border.
Highest navigable lake in the world, yeah. Over 12,500 feet up in the Andes. It's huge. Over 3,200 square miles, and it's ancient, formed millions of years ago in this high basin created by tectonic forces.
And culturally significant too, Inca legends.
Very. According to myth, the birthplace of the sun god, Inti, and the first Inca rulers. And you have the Oros people living on these incredible floating islands they make out of reeds harvested from the lake. A culture totally adapted to the lake environment.
History and geology intertwined again. Now, the other end of the Earth, the Arctic. Different from Antarctica, you said.
Fundamentally different, yeah. Antarctica is land covered by ice. The Arctic is an ocean surrounded by land. The sea ice grows and shrinks dramatically with the seasons. It's a much more dynamic, icy environment influenced by currents and wind.
But still holds clues about climate history.
Absolutely. The ice cores drilled there, the sediments below. They tell us a lot about past ice ages and climate shifts. And of course, it's home to iconic animals like polar bears, walruses, narwhals, plus indigenous cultures who've lived there for millennia. And that weird light months of darkness, months of daylight.
A unique realm, vital to the planet's climate. Okay, West Coast USA again. Redwood National Park, those giant trees.
The tallest trees on Earth. Coast redwoods, Sequoia sempervirens. Some are well over 370 feet tall, can live for 2,000 years. They're just awe-inspiring, like walking into a natural cathedral.
And their ancient lineage.
Descendants of forests that were around during the age of dinosaurs, roughly 20 million years back. The park protects these old growth groves, but also prairies, coastline, It's on the Cascadia subduction zone, tectonically active.
And the fog is key for them.
Crucial, provides moisture, especially in the dry summers. And their roots, though shallow, interlock with neighbors, creating this massive, stable network. Amazing trees.
Staying in California, Yosemite, another icon, granite cliffs, waterfalls.
Yosemite is just spectacular. Carved primarily by glaciers during the ice ages. Those massive granite domes like Half Dome and El Capitan were scoured and shaped by moving ice. Tens of millions of years in the making.
Waterfalls like Yosemite Falls, huge drop.
One of the tallest in North America, yeah. Over 2,400 feet in total, plus the giant sequoia groves, the Deep Valley. It's over 750,000 acres of Sierra Nevada wilderness. And its creation as a park in 1890 was really important for the whole conservation movement.
A testament to glacial power and preservation. Now, Costa Rica, arenal volcano, a perfect cone shape.
Arenal is quite striking, isn't it? It's a relatively young volcano, geologically speaking, under 8,000 years old. It was very active from 1968 until about 2010, putting on quite a show sometimes.
And the park around it, rainforest, lava fields.
Yeah, it's in a conservation area. You get lush rainforest thanks to the volcanic soil and rainfall, but also areas covered by older lava flows.
Wow.
Great biodiversity, toucans, monkeys, maybe even a jaguar if you're incredibly lucky. It's a living volcano in a vibrant ecosystem.
Australia again, but offshore. Lord Howe Island and Ball's Pyramid, volcanic remnants.
Exactly. Lord Howe Island is what's left of a big shield volcano that erupted maybe 7 million years ago. Now it's this beautiful crescent island with rainforests, coral reefs, lots of unique species like the Lord Howe wooden.
And Ball's Pyramid, that looks like a spike.
It's incredible. The world's tallest volcanic stack, over 1,800 feet high, just this jagged spire sticking out of the ocean. It's the eroded core of another part of that volcanic complex. And amazingly, it's home to the Lord Howe Island stick insect, which was thought to be extinct until they found it clinging to the cliffs there.
Wow. Life-finding refuge on a volcanic spire. Amazing. Okay, Algeria, Tasselino Adger, sandstone plateau, ancient rock art.
This place is huge and really important. A vast sandstone plateau rising out of the Sahara formed over 200 million years ago. Wind and sand have eroded it into these bizarre shapes, arches, pillars, looks like a stone forest in places.
But the rock art is the main thing.
It's a massive treasure trove. Over 15,000 paintings and engravings, some dating back 10,000 years. They show a time when the Sahara was green rivers, giraffes, hippos, people hunting and herding. It's an incredible record of climate change and human history.
Like an open-air art gallery telling the story of a lost world.
Exactly. UNESCO site. The geology and the art together are just profound.
South Africa now. Table Mountain overlooking Cape Town. So distinctive.
Instantly recognizable, isn't it, that flat top? It's incredibly old, over 280 million years. Mostly sandstone, like Uluru, but much older. It's been eroded down by wind and ice over immense periods.
Part of the bigger mountain range.
The northern end of the Cape Fold Belt, it stands over 3,500 feet tall, and it's part of the Cape Floral Kingdom, which has unbelievable plant biodiversity, loads of endemic species found nowhere else, plus that famous tablecloth of cloud that often drapes over the top.
A geological icon and a biodiversity hotspot. Impressive. Way north now, Canada. Torngat Mountains National Park in Labrador. Really remote and ancient.
About as remote and wild as it gets in North America, and yes, ancient. Part of the Canadian Shield, some of the rocks there are nearly 4 billion years old, among the oldest on Earth.
4 billion?
Yeah. The name Torngat means place of spirits in Inuktitut, reflecting its importance to the Inuit. The landscape is incredibly rugged glaciers, deep fjords carved by ice, sharp granite peaks. It looks primal.
And wildlife. Polar bears.
One of the few places on the mainland where polar bears roam, plus large caribou herds migrating through. It feels like stepping back into the Ice Age almost.
Yeah.
Deep time, raw nature.
Okay, the Alps. The Matterhorn. Switzerland-Italy border. That perfect peak.
Maybe the most iconic mountainous shape in the world, that pyramid. Carved by glaciers, eroding it from multiple sides. It's over 14,000 feet high.
Formed by tectonic collision.
Yeah, part of the collision between the African and European plates that raised the Alps. Its steepness and isolation just drew climbers. The first ascent in 1865 ended tragically, which added to its mystique. It's beautiful but formidable.
A symbol of the Alps. Okay, back to the U.S. Oregon. Crater Lake. Deepest lake in the country. Volcanic origin.
Yep. Born from destruction. About 7,700 years ago, a massive volcano called Mount Mazama blew its top in a huge eruption, and then the whole thing collapsed inwards, forming a caldera.
And that filled with water.
Exactly, just rain and snow melt over centuries. There are no rivers flowing in or out, which is why the water is incredibly pure and deep blue, nearly 2,000 feet deep. And you have Wizard Island, that little cinder cone that formed inside the caldera later. Beauty from catastrophe.
Another volcanic wonder.
Yeah.
Now Chile again. Atacama Desert, driest place on Earth.
One of them, for sure. Some parts haven't seen rain in recorded history, maybe hundreds of years. It stretches for 600 miles along the coast, trapped between the Andes and the coastal mountains, so it's in a double rain shadow.
Looks like Mars.
Very Mars-like terrain, which is why astronomers love it. Clear skies for telescopes and space agencies, test rovers there. But life still exists. Unique microbes, specially adapted plants. Plus salt flats, geysers at altitude, really surreal landscapes.
Extreme geology, extreme life. Okay, one last stop. Back in California's Sierra Nevada, Sequoia National Park. Not the tallest trees this time, but the biggest.
By volume, yes. The giant sequoias, Sequoia dendron giganteum, they're just massive, colossal beings. The general Sherman tree is the largest living thing on Earth by volume. Some are over 3,000 years old.
So related to the coast redwoods, but different.
Cousins, yeah. Sequoias are generally thicker and more massive overall, while coast redwoods are taller and more slender. The park was also established way back in 1890 to protect them, and like Yosemite, it's got spectacular mountain scenery canyons, granite peaks, Mount Whitney, the highest point in the lower 48 states.
A land of giants, both trees and mountains.
Exactly. Another place that just fills you with awe.
Wow. Okay, reflecting on all that.
Yeah.
The sheer variety is just incredible, isn't it? From deep blue holes to fiery craters, icy continents, rainbow rivers.
It really is staggering, and the timescales involved. Millions, hundreds of millions, even billions of years for some of these formations. It gives you such a sense of deep time.
And the forces. Tectonic plates crashing, volcanoes erupting, glaciers grinding, water carving. The planet is just constantly reshaping itself.
Constantly. And it reminds you that even the most extreme places, the driest deserts, the coldest ice caps can harbor life, often in really surprising ways. Resilience.
Absolutely. These wonders aren't just beautiful, they're like living lessons in geology, climate, and biology.
Couldn't agree more. They connect us to the planet's history and its ongoing processes.
So as you've been listening along with us on this journey, maybe think about which of these places really sparked your curiosity the most. What story did it tell you?
Yeah, and maybe consider, these places aren't static, are they? They're still changing. Which makes you wonder, what will they look like in another 1,000 years? Or 10,000? Something to ponder.